the standard pop-up message. And all right, here we go. Welcome to our 2024 Chicago Performance Tour parent meeting. I just want to say that the information that is included in the slide deck is the most up-to-date to this point. But as any type of travel situation goes, the card is subject to change. Maybe it's weather, maybe it's a facilities thing. So again, as our itinerary develops and changes over time, you will get the most up-to-date information as I receive it as well. Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, this is all of our airline and accommodation information. Again, this slide deck will be sent out at the conclusion of this meeting. So if you want to take a screenshot or take a quick snapshot of this slide, by all means, go ahead, but it will be provided to you via email afterwards. Okay, so our outbound flight is Alaska Airlines AS 332 with a 9:55 departure from SFO. Okay, again, that's crucial. Please do not show up to San Jose Airport. We are departing from SFO. I may have made that mistake once on a personal trip, so we would hate for that to happen to you. Return flight is, again, Alaska Airlines AS 597 from O'Hare International Airport back to SFO with a 5:55 departure. Our arrival back in California should be about, I think, 8:55. That details later in the slide deck. And then our hotel is the Hilton Garden Inn Chicago Central, which is right off of the Loop. So we are staying in the city proper. We will be staying downtown, and that is the address should you need it. Okay, now I want to transition into trust-based travel. And here we have Steve Hope with us. He is a former administrator here at MVHS, and he's been a volunteer at almost every major tour that the Performing Arts Department has held for decades now. So we're going to turn the floor over to Steve. Go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Ricky. And hello to everyone. Looks like an exciting trip you guys are about to embark on. And as Ricky said, I've chaperoned lots of trips, including the last big one with the instrumental program was the London New Year's Day Parade, when the whole marching band went to London to march. And shipping all those instruments is no easy feat. Ricky asked me to talk about trust-based travel, and this is one of the things that I do when I'm traveling with either the instrumental program or the vocal music program. And what this really means is that the first thing I say is it's really crazy for teachers to take high school students on trips like this to major cities where there's lots of things going on. And there are so many things that the teachers have to watch out for, have to plan for, and keeping the students safe is their primary function. The whole thing is we want to return the students back to the parents in the same condition that we got them. And so in order to do that, this trust-based travel concept is something that is critical to making sure that happens, and that the teachers and the rest of the students in the group can enjoy what they're doing and come back home safely. Having said that, one of the things that is critical, I think, in terms of traveling as a group like this, is that all of the students who are going are highly intelligent, highly creative, able to problem solve, come up with solutions that to problems or issues that they face all the time. And given how many of them there are of you traveling, your ability to figure out how to get around the rules is infinite. And you're probably very good at that. And so one of the things that we talk with students about is the fact that we have to trust you. There's no way that the adult chaperones can watch every single thing that you do, can catch every danger that you might get into. And so they have to rely on the fact that you are going to abide by the boundaries and the limits and the rules that they set for this trip. So having said that, the fact that you as students have signed up for this, you are saying to these teachers, you can trust me. You can trust me to follow the rules. You can trust me to watch out for my fellow students, because there are, I'm sure, requirements that people be with buddies all the time so that you're not out wandering alone. You're going to be in a big city, and all of the things that these teachers will give you as guidelines are meant to keep you and everyone else safe and to get you back home safely. So the only way this works is if we can trust you. When you travel like this and you sign up for this trip, you are looking that teacher in the eye and saying, you can trust me. My word is good. I have integrity, and I will follow the rules and the guidelines that you set up for me. Now, having said that, I am sure that on a number of trips, people can try and get around the rules, and probably do. However, at the same time, this whole thing is about what is your word worth? And in my view, in terms of traveling, that's the one personal thing that you own that nobody can take away from you except you yourself. So when you give your word, the teachers rely on that. They assume they can trust you. They will treat you like they can trust you. And the hope is that your word is worth something. If you get around it and you do something that's not allowed, or you break your word, teachers may never know. However, you're the one that's going to have to live with that, because that is what your word is worth. So just like to share that. Make sure all the travelers, all the students know how important this actually is. It's very meaningful for the teachers. It is personally having, well, let me say back up and say this. When students don't always follow the rules and they think they can get away with it, generally the teachers find out. And when they do, not only is there disciplinary actions that can happen and those kinds of things, which make the trip not fun for the teachers and for you, that whole trust is now broken, and the teachers know what your word is worth and have a problem trusting you going into the future. So please, 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 if you go on this trip, you're giving your word to the teachers. Your word is worth something. It means a lot to the teachers that you've done that. And you are the one ultimately that will have to live with if you violate that trust. That's all I have to say, just to make people aware that it's something you're responsible for, you control. It's not anything anybody can take away from you. And it is probably one of the most important personal things that you own. So make that word that you're giving those folks count. Okay? Thanks, Ricky.
Awesome. No, thank you, Steve. We really do appreciate it. And again, these are words from a decade's worth of experience and traveling millions of miles around the globe with students, with student performance tours. So, Steve really does have the real world experience and he knows what he's talking about. So again, thank you, Steve. We really do appreciate you. So leading off of that, this is just, again, the overall behavioral expectations that we have of our students at all times. Since this is a school field trip, all school rules apply, no matter what, and at all times of the day. Most importantly, please be courteous and respectful at all times, especially for the people that are outside of our group, right? The people that we interact with via clinics or other schools, or maybe just in the general public. It should go without saying, but a reminder I feel is necessary. And Steve talked earlier about staying within groups. Again, every student has to be with at least 2 other people at all times. Okay, that gives our students a sense of safety and the notion that they are with people that they know and that they trust. Okay. And most importantly, drugs, alcohol, tobacco products, weapons are absolutely prohibited. That is a 0 tolerance rule, and Joe and myself have have no patience for any type of contraband whatsoever. Again, especially on a school sanctioned trip as this. Okay, so again, choosing to bring, purchase, or consume, or be in the presence of others who are consuming will lead to a suspension or expulsion, as well as immediate termination from field trip privileges. Okay, again, just want to stress that as a point of importance. Okay, and again,
Ricky,
consequences.
Could
Yes,
could I add something here?
of
Because a
course.
lot of people don't realize that a suspension, particularly those of you who are seniors, any suspension on your record gets reported to the universities you have applied to. So please don't put the teachers, and those suspensions happen in addition to whatever the teachers do, because that's the administration at the school. So don't risk your future by doing something that's going to get you suspended.
Great, thank you. Yeah, very good point. Again, consequences, this is one of those slides that we hope we never have to reference or never have to actually follow through on, but it's important that we communicate what could happen if any student that joins us on tour steps out of line. First and foremost, if a student is discovered to be in violation of any of the code of conduct, he or she may be sent home immediately at the expense of the parents. Okay, that is an extra ticket that needs to be purchased. And in fact, the expectation in such a situation is that the parents come and pick up the students. Okay, we do not send students on a plane by themselves to go home, but if the situation warrants that the student needs to be sent home, then one of the parental units does need to come and pick them up. Okay, and then again, if any negative behavior were to occur on tour, there's a lot of things that could have an adverse effect when they get home, including the exclusion and the participation of senior activities, including the graduation ceremony. The last thing we want to have happen is to follow through on something like this. So as Steve said, please don't put us in that position. And at the end of the tour, obviously, depending on, and pardon me, if any negative behavior were to happen, that could also affect the status of future performance tours for the instrumental music program. All of our tours need to get board approved and need to get signed off by our principal and our superintendent. So any negative experiences from the past could affect any status that we have moving forward. So for general safety guidelines, again, just want to remind everyone that we aren't going to Mountain View, California. We are going to be in the big city. If you leave something unattended, the likelihood of that item walking away is high. I've personally never been pickpocketed or had any of my possessions stolen in downtown Chicago, but that doesn't mean I'm not aware of my surroundings. So as we are in the city, whether if it is within the group or any amount of free time, again, please make sure that you're aware of where your belongings are, particularly your wallet, your cell phone. We recommend that you keep things in the front pocket of your jeans or of your pants, just as a safety measure. And if you have purses or backpacks, be hyper aware of where that is at all time, especially during meals, right? We see a lot of instances where students will put down a purse at lunchtime or at a dinner and then just forget that it's there and walk away. So again, just be aware of your surroundings, know who you're with, and also, again, look out for each other, right? Within your groups of 3 or larger, make sure that everyone's accounted for before you get up and leave a certain area. Make sure everyone has their belongings before we move on. All right, electronics use. We are not allowing the use of cell phones during group meals. That includes breakfast, rehearsals, performances, or other group meetings, right? We want you to enjoy each other's company. We want you to have this experience together, not be glued to your cell phones. And no headphones while traveling on foot. Now, this is important because let's say we are in the airport and we are traveling or we are walking from the security gate to the terminal. It's important that we can communicate with each other, right? And so if you have your headphones on, if you listen to music or a podcast, and someone's trying to get your attention, it just makes it more difficult for the group to travel as one. Now, when we're on the bus or on the plane, obviously, by all means, if you need music to help relax, that's 100% okay. But if we are traveling by foot, please make sure that you don't have your headphones in. This is the staff and chaperones that will be joining us on the trip, along with myself, Joe Smith-Nielsen, my counterpart here at MVHS. So we will be the two staff members on record, along with Melissa Jankowski, Steve Jankowski, and Doug Isaacson. So this will be our chaperone team throughout the week. Okay, so before leaving the airport, these are just some things that you should think about, plan ahead as you start to think about luggage, baggage, what to bring with you, and maybe what not to bring with you. So what you should be packing is clothes for moderately cold weather. I would say around 55 degrees with chance of rain. That is pretty typical for weather in the Chicagoland area around the time that we will be there. Performance attire, our standard concert black dress that we wear at concerts is what you'll be required. And we're gonna ask that you wear a business casual attire to the CSO concert. We are attending the Chicago Symphony Orchestra concert, and we want to present ourselves well. So those are the three kind of clothing requirements that we are going to ask you to bring. Similar to the Bay Area, we recommend that you bring layers and you have some flexibility. Chicago weather can be crazy, where you can experience all 4 seasons within the span of 4 days. So again, make sure that you plan ahead and that you're flexible for all types of weather. In fact, I heard last week in the middle of February, it reached 70 degrees back home. So and yet today it's like in the low 40s. So just be prepared for all types of weather. The toiletries that you need for the week, basic medicines or prescriptions, identification, and your instrument and accessories. So that includes swabs, extra reeds, ligatures, valve oil, rosin, etc. So make sure that you have everything that you need for our clinics and our performances. For our baggage policy, students will bring 1 checked bag under 48 pounds. Keep in mind that there might be a possibility where you might have to carry your luggage up and down stairs. So you want to make sure that you yourself can at least lift it and be comfortable doing so. All smaller instruments like flutes, clarinets, violins, violas, trumpets, alto saxophones will be carried onto the plane. Larger instruments like tenor saxophones, bari saxophones will be checked in along with our luggage. We've already budgeted money for the checked bag fees since we are flying through Alaskan Airlines. They're not Southwest, and so they charge. So we've already budgeted for that. So students will not need to pay the baggage fee at the check-in counter. All right, and your carry-on luggage, like your backpack, your purse, must fit underneath the seat in front of you. And if you are bringing like any type of medication or anything like that, make sure that it's labeled and make sure that you follow the 3-1-1 liquids rule, which hopefully everyone's familiar with. For luggage tags and business cards, what we will do is we will prepare 3 luggage tags for every student with their name on it. And so all of our bags and all of our instruments are identifiable as Mountain View High School property. Right? So when students arrive to the airport, they'll be given their 3 baggage tags, and it is required that they put it on their luggage, their personal items, and their instrument, along with a business card that will have mine and Joe's contact information should an emergency arise or if anything needs to happen that will necessitate our immediate attention. Okay, and as far as IDs go, I believe that's on my next slide. I saw someone ask that question in the chat. But as far as IDs goes, students 18 and under, I'm sorry, pardon me, under 18, a school ID is 100% perfect. If they are over 18, then a driver's license or a passport is what you should be bringing along. Okay, and then another question, can students bring both a personal item and a carry-on roller bag? If they are not checking an instrument, yes, they can. But like say if a student plays trumpet and they need to bring their backpack and their instrument as their second carry-on, then that has to account for the two. Okay. Let's see, and then someone asked, instruments are different than standard. Some instruments will qualify as carry-on and some won't. I'll have a conversation with the students that will need to check their instrument, just so we're clear on the process that needs to happen. Okay. All right. Medical information. Okay. Please make Joe and Mr. A aware of any medical conditions in the case of an emergency. So, you know, just in case, heaven forbid, if something were to happen, Joe and I are equipped with that information should we need to, assist and help a student. Also, if you have severe allergies that necessitates a use of an EpiPen, please make sure that you have it with you at all times. I was on tour with my former school, and a student had a nut allergy, and they had an EpiPen, but it was back at the hotel. So obviously it didn't do them much good when they got their reaction. So if you have an allergy that needs an EpiPen, please make sure that you keep it on you at all times. Okay, let's see. Sorry, another question, couple questions in the chat as I go. Will parents be provided with cell phone numbers for Ricky and Joe in case there is an emergency? Yes. You will have our immediate contact information in case of emergency. Both parents and students will have access to that. And cellos. Someone asked a question about cellos. We are actually going to be renting those on site. So we do not need to worry about carrying on or checking in a cello, but students will be required to bring a bow and a rosin. Okay, arriving at the airport, just going to give you a brief overview as far as what the practice and the protocol is at SFO. So as you arrive, you will check in with Joe and myself. You will receive your luggage tags, your business cards, and then you will be sent to the check-in counter to check your luggage. Parents must park and walk their student into the check-in area. Okay, again, this is important. We just want to make sure that everyone is accounted for and that there is a smooth handoff from parents to staff members. Once students are in line, they will check their bags. They will give their parents one last hug, and parents will either weep or they'll celebrate, depending on what their plans are for the week. And then they'll wait at the designated area to go through security. We will be going through security in groups. So all 65 of us will not be going through together, but we'll make sure that we keep our groups manageable for when we go through security. Once we get to the other side of security, we will again check in just to make sure that everyone made it to the other side okay. And then we will meet at the gate. And as students board the plane, they need to make eye contact with Joe and myself. Again, that's just another safety measure to make sure that we do not leave anyone behind. Okay, another question in the chat. If parents have to walk their student into the check-in area, does that mean we cannot carpool to the airport? You can carpool to the airport, but whoever is driving carpool needs to walk in their group of students. That's a really good question. Thank you. Okay, again, critical items, your photo ID. Again, if you are under the age of 18, the school issued NVHS ID is perfect. If you are over the age of 18, that a driver's license, state ID, or passport is what you will need to bring. An ATM card, credit card, cash, etc., and a wallet. A copy of your medical insurance card, again, in case of extreme emergencies, and of course, a positive attitude. Another question in the chat. I'm assuming students do not check in online. That is correct. Thank you for asking. Please do not check in online prior to arriving to the airport. Since we are grouped as a group, since we are ticketed as a group rate, it's important that we go through that process together. All right, so our daily itineraries, again, this is what we're looking at from day to day. And as I prefaced before, the card is subject to change, barring any extreme circumstances. But if something does change between now and April 4th, you'll get that information from me as soon as I receive it. All right, so day one, 7:30, arrive at SFO. Again, we are leaving from San Francisco International Airport. Please report to the right facility. At 9:55 is when our flight departs for Chicago with the approximate arrival time of 4:18. Once we get there, we'll load the coaches to the hotel. We'll check in, we'll freshen up for dinner. And then at 7 p.m., we will enjoy a Chicago deep dish pizza at Giordano's, which happens to be my favorite. Coincidence. And then at 8:30, we'll load the coaches back to the hotel and we will be there for the evening. So our day one essentially is our travel day and our deep dish pizza day. Day two, this is our workshop day. So we will meet for breakfast at the hotel. And then around 7:45, 8 o'clock, we will load our instruments onto the coaches and then get a guided tour of the city. Noon, lunch is on our own. 1 o'clock, we'll load the coaches and depart for Vandercook College of Music. That is a college that is specific for music education majors and those pursuing master's degrees in music education. I got a chance to visit them as a high school student myself, and it's a wonderful institution. So we're really looking forward to that ensemble workshop. So at 1:30, both of our groups will be having our workshops at the same time. So Joe will be filling in for me with chamber orchestra, running that workshop and being with the conductor, and I will be with the wind ensemble. After the workshop, we will return to the hotel to freshen up. And then at 4:45, we're going to meet at the hotel lobby and depart for Willis Tower, which is really Sears Tower. But we will go up to the sky deck and see the view from that way up high and visit that attraction. And then after that, we will have a group dinner at Stations Restaurant. After dinner, we will go to our CSO concert. Again, we're going to ask that you dress business casual for that. And then after our concert, we will return back to our hotel around 9:30 with lights out. Okay. Someone asked in the chat, approximately how much money do you suggest to have students for meals/downtime? I have that in a later slide, so we'll cover that in a bit. And then another student asked, is 4:18 arrival Pacific or Chicago time? It is Chicago time. Okay, it is Chicago time. They run 2 hours ahead. All right, day three. Day three is our performance day. So we'll meet for breakfast in the hotel, and then we will make our way to the Symphony Center. Wind Ensemble has their sound check at 9:55, and Chamber Orchestra has their sound check at 10:10. After that will be lunch and a little bit of free time on our own. And then 1 o'clock is when the concert begins. We are sharing this concert with Dublin High School, the one that's up the road in the East Bay. They will be bringing their jazz band and their wind symphony. So it will be 4 groups total, 1 jazz band, 2 wind ensembles, and 1 chamber orchestra. We're really excited for that. And after the concert, that should conclude around 3:40, 3:30, somewhere in that ballpark. At 4 o'clock, we'll return to the hotel where we can get freshened up, get changed out of concert attire, leave our instruments in our hotel room, and then we'll have a group dinner downtown. And then 7:30, we'll load coaches home. The rest of the evening is free for relaxation from our concert day. All right, day 4 is our sightseeing and our attractions day. So after breakfast, we'll make our way to the Field Museum. And then after spending the morning at the museum, we will depart for Navy Pier. Lunch will be on our own at Navy Pier, along with some free time. And then at 1:30, we will set sail on our architecture boat tour down the Chicago River. Now, this is one of those moments where you're going to want to dress warm. Last time I went on this tour, it wasn't cold, but it was windy and it was rainy. So, again, talking about flexibility with what clothes we pack, it's important that we make sure that we dress warm for this particular afternoon because it can get pretty cold. After that, we will load our coaches and return back to the hotel. And then in the evening is when we have slated to do our exchange rehearsal / performance with the local high school. I have an asterisk next to this because as of yesterday, the last communication I had with World Projects is that they were still having trouble finding a host school for us to participate with for a number of reasons. Number one is that it just so happens that a lot of the schools in the area are on spring break while we are there, and also that it's scheduled to be on a Sunday. So they've been having some issues and troubles finding a host school, but they are still trying. If the event we cannot find a host school, then there will be an alternate performance opportunity that we will have on that day instead. Okay, so I just wanted to go out front and set that expectation just in case the exchange rehearsal and performance ends up falling through. All right, and day 5 is essentially our travel day back. So we will have our breakfast at the hotel, and then we'll have essentially the morning to do any last minute souvenir shopping and exploring. And then at 11, we will meet in the lobby with all of our belongings because we do need to check out by 11. It will be our final lunch in Chicago, and then we will make our way to the airport at 2:15. Okay, our flight back to SFO leaves at 5:55 p.m. With an estimated arrival time at 8:55. Okay, and similar to our drop-off procedure, when you pick up your students, you do need to park. You need to walk into the baggage claim area and check out with Joe or myself. Okay, again, we really want to ensure that that the student safety is there from end to end, and want to make sure that everyone makes their way home safely from the airport. Okay. Now another question that I've been getting a lot is, what if my student isn't flying home with the group? So if you are picking up your student from Chicago and continuing your spring break from there, or you're making plans to see the eclipse, please email me separately. So I have record that it is in my email that is the arrangements that you are making, and B, we can make sure that the handoff of your student from the group to you happens seamlessly, and we have a plan for that. Okay, so again, if a student is not planning on flying home with the group, please email me as soon as possible so we can make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row for that. Okay, let's see. During the last lunch, will the students have their instruments and all their belongings with them? We are going to store them at the hotel. Okay, we are going to store all of our belongings at the hotel. They've secured one of the rooms there for us, to store our belongings while we have that last morning to explore. Okay. What's not included? Again, ground transportation to and from SFO. So, students need to provide their own ride there. Again, if that's a carpool situation, that's 100% fine. If you need help with a carpool, if you need a ride provided for your student, again, reach out to me, and I'm sure we can find a parent that is willing to transport your student to and from the airport. Excess baggage fees, again, the first check bag is covered. The students that need to check instruments is covered. So I'm not really worried about excess baggage fees. The meals that are not included in the itinerary are 5 lunches and 1 dinner. That includes the lunch at pretty much all the lunches while we're there. And then the last dinner is essentially at the airport at O'Hare before we fly back. And then any laundry, room service, internet connection, etc., is not included in the tour cost. So circling back to what food will I be purchasing? Potentially 1 breakfast at SFO. It really, it depends. You are obviously more than welcome to eat breakfast before you arrive to San Francisco International, or you can choose to eat in the terminal after we pass through security. All lunches that were there, so the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then one dinner, which will be before our return flight from O'Hare, and any miscellaneous snacks or anything like that. So I will say this, generally the cost for food is less expensive in the Chicago area than it is here in the Bay Area. So, you know, if you want to budget maybe, you know, $10 to $12 for lunches, or maybe, you know, 15 to 20 for the dinner at O'Hare. Hopefully that gives you kind of a ballpark as far as how much pocket money you should send with your student. And speaking of extra pocket money, this is a discussion that families should have prior to departure. You know, the amount of cash or credit card usage, and you know, whatever souvenirs or personal purchases that they may or may not want to make. I think it's important to have that discussion as far as budgeting goes, and making sure that you have enough money for the entire tour. I remember taking a middle school group to Disneyland one year, and the first day, one of my students bought a really expensive souvenir and didn't have a whole lot of money left for meals afterwards. So please have that conversation with your student as far as how much money is reasonable for them to have, to spend, and to budget throughout the 5 days that we're there. Okay. And a quick reminder that the 2 days of school that we will be missing are the 2 days before spring break. And I think it can be reasonably anticipated that those 2 days will probably be times where there might be some tests or quizzes or projects or papers due. Students, please start communicating with your teachers now as far as what materials you'll be missing, what you need to make up. Be proactive, okay? The last thing we want is for teachers to complain that we took our students on a performance tour at the most inopportune time. So again, early communication is best. As far out as you can communicate that you'll be missing these days, the more flexible these teachers will be. So again, be proactive. In fact, I suggest between tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, again, start having those conversations and get ahead of the curve. All right. A couple final reminders. Again, you are traveling as an MVHS student and a representative of our school. Please follow the rules, and everything will be fine. And again, please be smart. Think before you act. Again, we will not be going to, you know, we are going to a place that is different, obviously, and just make sure that you think before you act. All right, let's see, a question popped up. Let's see, does business casual attire need to be a specific color? No. I would say that a good rule of thumb is maybe something that they would wear for graduation performance. I think that's reasonable. Will you excuse them from the 2 days, or do the parents? I will provide a list to the attendance office as far as all the students that will be attending our field trip, so they will be excused in Aries. Let's see. Someone asked, day 3 concert, are parents or in town able to attend? Of course. If you are planning to be in the Chicagoland area the day of the concert, we'd love to see you in the audience. You are definitely more than welcome to attend. And will a streaming link be available for the concert? Oh, that's a great question, Janet. I'm gonna need to see with World Projects. My initial guess would be no, but it's definitely worth the ask. So I'll go ahead and ask, and I'll get back to you. Okay. Let's see. Jackie asked, do they need a pack concert attire? Yes, absolutely. Okay. Please make sure that you pack and bring your concert attire. Let's see. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. If you didn't see in the chat, Kristen also teaches English here at MVHS, and it looks like extra help from a senior teacher is available from 4 to 6 in the library Tuesdays and Thursdays from now until the due date. Thank you for making us aware of that. And do we need tickets to attend the concert on Saturday? Again, I'll make sure to get all of that information out once I get it from World Projects. Okay. Let's see. Oh, room assignments. Right. I'm sorry. I intended to put this in the slide. I will send that out in the email along with the slide deck and the recording of the video. Great. Does anyone else have any questions regarding any of the information that we covered today? Okay, again, as always, if anything pops up, please don't hesitate to ask. Again, we want to make sure that you are comfortable sending your student on tour with us. And really there is no silly question. So again, reach out if there's anything else you need from me. We are so excited to be able to do this. We are about 29 days and counting. So again, expect an email from me with the slide deck and a link to the recording of this meeting and our rooming assignments. Thanks again for being here.
Ricky?
If you can stick around, our IMPA meeting is next on a separate Zoom, but so hopefully we'll see you on the other side. Okay?
Ricky, there was a quick question about concert tickets for the Saturday concert.
Yes. I don't have that information just yet, so I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna double check with World Projects to see what the coordination is for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ricky, will you be able to go through the details with the students separately after this meeting?
So the students should be in this meeting. All the students that are going were required to attend, unless they had a conflict with the musical. So, yep, I see Augie. There it is. So yes, but again, we'll make sure that everyone has the information that they need. Okay, I'm just gonna do one last scan, make sure that I didn't miss any questions or anything like that. But again, if you have everything you need, you can go ahead and log off. Again, thank you for being here, and more information to come soon. Good night.
It says how many students in total? And do you need more chaperones?
We are at 65 travelers. So it'll be 59 students total. And I would say we don't necessarily need any more chaperones, but
That was Miss Alice. We can follow up with her.
okay, that sounds good. Okay, everyone, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the recording and end the meeting, and thanks again. See you.